ever get that feeling? Like you're looking at ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, or even those Greek myths, and it's like they're whispering some secret.
Oh, absolutely. It's like they're speaking a language, but we've kind of forgotten the words, haven't we? All those symbols and stories.
Yeah, exactly. So in this deep dive, we're going to try to decode some of those whispers. And our guide, well, he's a bit of a 19th century scholar, Albert Pike. Fascinating guy. His work on symbolism, it really offers a unique lens to view this stuff through.
Interesting choice. I mean,
Oh, and full disclosure, Pike was a Freemason, right? So his writings, they're definitely coming from that perspective. We're using his insights as like a starting point, not the be-all and end-all.
right, of course. And I think what always gets me is how cultures across, like, what, thousands of years and continents, I mean, they were obsessed with symbols. The Egyptians, the Greeks, you name it.
That's true.
But these weren't just like decorations, you know what I mean? It was a way of communicating something deeper, ideas that you couldn't just say with words.
It's like they knew there was like another layer of meaning to things, something beyond just like everyday language.
Exactly.
And think about it. Symbols still have so much power today, don't they?
Yeah.
A national flag, I mean, that can practically make people cry with patriotism.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or even like a simple little heart emoji, right?
Yeah.
Changes the whole tone of a text. Now, imagine what those ancient cultures were trying to get across with their elaborate symbols and myths, right?
Well, Pike, in his book Morals and Dogma, he actually compares these symbols to the riddles of the Sphinx.
Ooh, I like that.
Intriguing on the surface, but potentially dangerous if you get the answer wrong.
Yeah.
He truly believed understanding those symbols, that's the key to unlocking ancient wisdom.
It's like having a key to like a secret library or something.
Yes.
But then you lose the translation guide. So what kind of library did Pike think we were missing out on?
Well, for him, it all started with Egypt. He was convinced those Egyptian mystery schools, those ancient hubs of like spiritual and intellectual exploration.
Oh, yeah. He thought they held the key to understanding how to read these symbols and at the heart of it all, the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The one that's most famously shown in the myth of Osiris, Isis, and Typhon.
Oh, that's a classic. Murder, betrayal, resurrection. I mean, talk about a story that stood the test of time. But it was never meant to be taken literally, was it?
Exactly. You got to look deeper. Think of Osiris as like civilization itself.
Yeah.
Order, justice, creativity. His reign. That represents what humans can achieve when things are in harmony, when we're firing on all cylinders.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So then when his brother Typhon, when he kills Osiris, it's not just a jealous sibling rivalry. There's something bigger at play.
You got it. Typhon, he's like the embodiment of chaos, violence, all the forces that disrupt order, plunges the world into darkness. See, he's that ever-present threat, not just to civilization, but everything Osiris represents.
It's kind of a powerful metaphor when you think about it like that. I mean, the struggles we face, right, both as individuals and as a society, we're constantly battling against some kind of chaos. Right.
And then there's Isis. She's not just like a heartbroken widow. She's a force of nature.
She is, absolutely. Isis, she's healing, magic, that unwavering determination. When she puts Osiris back together, when she resurrects him, that's the human spirit, right? That's us overcoming loss, rebuilding, starting over.
Man, it's a story that no matter how many years go by, you can always connect with it. Who hasn't felt loss or that drive to create something new out of something that's been broken?
And that's the genius of it. These myths, they weren't just entertaining stories, They were designed to teach, to illustrate these profound truths about being human.
Okay, so we've got these profound truths, but they weren't just contained to Egypt, were they?
Nope. And that's where Pike, he gets really interesting. He hints at these connections to other cultures, even suggesting some early echoes in Christianity. But before we get there, let's talk about Greece. You see, according to Pike, the Egyptians, they kind of planted the seed, and the Greeks, with their love of logic and reason, well, they took it and ran with it in their own way.
So you're saying those Greek myths and philosophies I was talking about earlier, they might have some Egyptian DNA in them.
It's more than possible, and it gets really fascinating.
So we're talking ancient Greece, right? Like the birthplace of philosophy, democracy, those guys. How did these Egyptian ideas, the symbols, the myths, how did they make their way into that world?
Well, there's this place, Eleusis, just outside of Athens.
Okay.
It was like the place to be if you were into the whole mystery school thing. The Eleusinian mysteries. Super famous. Or infamous, depending on who you ask, I guess.
Mysteries, secret societies, hidden knowledge. Sounds a little Dan Browny, don't you think?
Maybe a little, but trust me, this is way more grounded in actual history.
Okay, good. I was getting a little worried there for a second.
But see, that's kind of the point, right? What made these schools so powerful was the secrecy. And Pike, he was convinced that wasn't just to be exclusive or anything. He thought there was something about the unknown itself.
I think I get it. Like, if everybody knew exactly what went on at these rituals, it wouldn't be as impactful, you know?
Exactly.
It's like finding out the ending to a movie before you watch it. Kind of ruins the whole experience.
Exactly. The mystery, the anticipation, even a little bit of fear, it all added to it. It made the lessons hit harder, stick with you. It's like the Egyptians, they gave us the blueprint, the themes, the big ideas. And the Greeks? Well, they built the whole temple around it, with initiation rituals meant to, like, transform you from the inside out.
Transformations. Oh, what are we
Yeah.
talking about here? Like ancient self-help retreats.
Something like that. We're talking about serious trials, often steeped in symbolism. Remember the whole death and resurrection thing we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, with Osiris.
That pops up again, but this time it's personal. The initiates, they would symbolically confront death, their fears, their own limitations, and they'd come out the other side, reborn, changed.
And then this was all supposed to, what, make them better citizens?
No.
A better society?
Exactly. The ancient Greeks, they understood that a strong society, it needed strong individuals, ethical, compassionate, wise. And what better way to cultivate those qualities than through shared experience, right? Something that really shakes you to your core.
Okay, so far we've got Egypt planting the seed, Greece cultivating it. But Pike, he also hints at connections to other cultures, even early Christianity. Are we about to go full conspiracy theory here?
Oh, hold on. Not quite a conspiracy theory, but there's definitely a fascinating echo there. Look, we're not saying Christianity directly lifted from these mystery schools or anything like that.
Okay.
But some of the core themes, the death and resurrection of a central figure, the idea of spiritual rebirth, the focus on ethical behavior, it resonates. It suggests maybe that there's this, like, universal human desire to try to understand those big questions, the mysteries of existence.
So it's less about specific rituals or doctrines and more about the shared human experience, the search for meaning.
Right. And while we might not have those exact same rituals today, that desire, that need to connect to something larger than ourselves, that's something I think we all still feel.
It's almost like those ancient symbols. They're echoes of something deep within us, something we recognize, even if we don't have the full translation guide. But symbols aside, what about the actual teachings? Like the meat and potatoes of what these schools were trying to convey? What secrets about life and the universe did they believe these symbols held?
Well, that's where Pike's insights get really interesting. It's like he's pulling back the curtain just a bit, giving us a glimpse into those core teachings. And surprisingly, they're actually still relevant to our lives today.
Okay, lay it on me. What kind of ancient wisdom were these mystery schools trying to share? Was it anything like those inspirational quotes you see on Instagram today?
Think less about feel-good quotes and more about universal truths. Pike believed one of the core teachings revolved around the concept of duality. Not just good versus evil, but the interconnectedness of seemingly opposite forces, light and dark, masculine and feminine, creation and destruction.
So kind of like that yin-yang symbol. It's about recognizing that you can't have one without the other.
Exactly. And it wasn't just some abstract philosophy. They saw this reflected everywhere in nature. The cycle of day and night, the ebb and flow of the tides, even the very act of breathing. It's all about balance, a constant dance between seemingly opposing forces.
And understanding this duality was key to, what, living a better life.
In a way, yes. See, by recognizing and accepting these dualities, we stop seeing the world in black and white, good or bad. We start to see the nuances, the interconnectedness of it all.
It's like those political debates that get so heated. Everyone's so focused on being right that they miss the bigger picture, the common ground they might find if they actually listen to each other.
That's a perfect example. And that brings us to another major theme. Pike highlights the soul's journey. Now, this gets a little more esoteric, but the mystery schools were fascinated by the idea of reincarnation, that the soul doesn't just cease to exist after death, but is reborn again and again on a quest for knowledge and growth.
Okay, so less you only live once and more, you get infinite do-overs. That's a pretty optimistic way to look at things.
Right. They saw each lifetime as a learning experience, an opportunity for the soul to evolve. Imagine it like this. Every life is a chapter in a much larger story, and each chapter comes with its own set of challenges and triumphs.
So no matter what we face, it's all part of some grander plan for our soul's evolution. It's almost comforting in a way.
And it ties back to that Egyptian myth we discussed earlier. Osiris's death and resurrection weren't just a one-time event. They represented a cycle, a constant process of death and rebirth. And maybe, just maybe, that's true for us too, not literally, but on a deeper spiritual level.
Wow, it's amazing how these ideas, thousands of years old, still resonate today.
That's the power of those ancient symbols and myths. They weren't just stories, they were vessels carrying profound truths across millennia, and understanding that is key to unlocking the wisdom they hold.
It's like we've been on an archaeological dig, but instead of unearthing ancient artifacts, we've been digging into the very heart of human experience. It makes you wonder what other secrets are still buried, waiting to be discovered.
And that's the beauty of it all. There's always more to learn, more to explore. These ancient mysteries, they offer us a glimpse into the past, but they also illuminate the present. They remind us that the search for meaning, for connection to something larger than ourselves, is a timeless human endeavor.
So what do we learn from this deep dive into ancient mysteries? That symbols aren't just pretty pictures, they're powerful tools that can unlock hidden knowledge. That those ancient myths and rituals weren't just for show, they were designed to teach profound truths about life, death, and the universe. And maybe, just maybe, those truths are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. Who knows what other mysteries are waiting to be unraveled?